Hello YouTube, this is Tim Smith back with another video. No coding today, but there is an article I wanted to show you that struck my eye that I think is a little bit concerning. So in this article, they're talking about how AI co-pilots are changing the way that coding is being taught. Professors are shifting away from syntax and emphasizing on higher level skills. Personally, I think this is maybe a bad idea. When I first started learning to code, I started learning C, just regular C. I learned for loops, while loops, all the basic control structures, um, algorithms, uh, how variables worked, different um, types, floats, ints, blah blah blah. Um, and as I learned other programming languages like JavaScript, and now I'm learning Python. Um, Eventually, I would like to learn Rust. It really doesn't matter. These skills are transferable. So if teachers are letting their students rely heavily on uh, Copilot or other AIs to do this for them, they're never going to really learn the fundamental skills that they need. They're never going to be as versatile as a programmer as they could be. Another drawback, and it does actually go into the article, and I will leave a link to this article in the show notes, that AIs do tend to hallucinate. The answers they give are not always correct, and they're always going to be a couple steps behind because the training data they have is always going to be pinned to whenever it was that data was created. So, ChatGPT is only up to about 2022, I believe. I'm sure it's been updated since that with ChatGPT 4, but my point is that the data in these models is old. So if you're trying to learn a new programming language, the data isn't going to be there. If you're trying to learn an older programming language like C or Python, you're going to have a much better time, but still, you can't always trust what's there. And even if you do trust it, personally, I don't think it's the best way to learn. Now, I like, I'm sorry, not Amazon. I like Microsoft Copilot, and I use Codium and Cody and a few others in VS Code. However, I try not to use them as coding assistant. And when I say that, I mean, I don't accept code I wouldn't be able to write myself, and I don't accept code that I don't understand. Generally, I only use it when I have a bug and I need to figure out why the bug is what it is. Um, Terminal errors aren't always as easy to understand for me as they are for other developers. So when I can throw a terminal error into, say, something like ChatGPT, it helps me see where the error is, and I can solve the problem on my own. Um, I have, just for proof of concept, asked ChatGPT to write me an application, and for the most part, it worked. But I don't get a sense of satisfaction with that. Um, as I'm coding and I have a difficult problem to solve, I want to be able to solve that problem on my own. I don't want some robot to solve it for me and then call it a day and say, hey, I did my job, because no, I didn't. I realize this might be controversial, and I'm looking forward to your comments. But personally, as an education tool, I think ChatGPT should be used, but not in replacement for teaching the fundamentals. And I feel like I probably hit the nail on the head on that, or beating a dead horse. Um, so let me go ahead and show you my VS Code setup and a few different ways that I'm using it. And maybe it'll help clear up the difference between depending on it to write code for me and to use it as a coding assistant. See you then. All right, so here I am in VS Code. I wanted to show you the three main coding assistants that I used. Codium AI is the primary one that I use. It is gaining a lot of popularity. Before I get into talking about Codium AI, I just wanted to show you the other ones that I use. I also use another one called Cody. Um, I don't use this one as much, but there are very specific things that it does that I like, and I'll show you that later. This used to have a standalone Mac application, but as far as I can tell, it no longer does. So now everything is built into the extension itself here in VS Code. And the last one I use is, of course, the OG Copilot. I haven't been using Copilot as much because some of the newer ones have a lot of other features that Copilot also has, but it does better. It uses different models for free. Copilot isn't free. Currently, I'm getting it for free due to a student thing that I have, but that's not going to last forever. And, you know, with all of these tools costing so much, anything I can get for free is great. So Codium here is 100% free. It uses excellent AI models. Um, if you wanted to use the ChatGPT 4 model, you could use that before. Now that is behind a beta, which I no longer am a part of. I think I was, or maybe they changed the way the beta worked. Doesn't really matter. Um, but anyway, let me get into how these work. Okay, so here I am back in VS Code, and I'm in a project that I've been working on. This is a text battle adventure. If you've seen my past videos, you've seen the progress that I've made on this. I wanted to show you Codium, but unfortunately, this particular VS Code plugin isn't functioning correctly right now. So I'll show you Cody and I will show you Copilot. Now, let's say I'm a junior developer and I'm trying to learn how to develop. A teacher is teaching me how to use Copilot and VS Code, and maybe they're also trying to teach me something like Cody. Now, from experience, I can write a comment here. Then on the next line, I can just start writing whatever it is the comment wanted me to do. Now, as a junior developer, I can see this and say, hey, oh, this is the perfect thing. I could just hit tab here a couple times. Let me just correct that. Let's do that again. Yeah, I just hit tab a couple times and I've got my function. Now, I can trust this and say this is going to do everything I want to do, but as a student, am I really learning here? I don't think so, because am I really learning, well, what do I want this function to do? Like what does it mean to pick up an item? Where am I picking it up from? What's the context? So this generated some code for me. Thanks, Codium. It actually came through on that one, it looks like. Um, but as a teacher, have you really taught your student what it is to write a method that teaches the student how to pick up an item? And no is the answer to that question. I don't think this teaches a student how to do anything. Now, let me delete this. Another thing I can do, and I'll use Cody to do this, is to generate code smells. And this will give all sorts of different things like, well, you may have done this differently. Or, there's a whole detailed description of what I could have done differently. And I can, of course, ask for an example. And this will give me the code. Now, I could look at this code and say, wow, this is beautiful. A machine wrote it for me. I could just place this in here and it's going to do everything I need it to do. But if you look at it, it takes away a lot of functionality. Where's the attack function? What's this new class? This is very confusing. So as a student, this is not adding clarity. This is adding complexity. Um, so as a teacher, definitely still focus on teaching the fundamentals. Uh, teach the syntax. Teach what a variable is. Teach what a control loop is. Don't just tell the students to use GitHub Copilot or things like this, because I really think you're doing it a service. Let me come back and show a Copilot example, just so I can hit on my bases. Let me just control all here, and let's just say explain this, Copilot, please. And of course, you can read through this whole long-winded thing, and maybe you'll learn a few things. I certainly have. I'm not dissing AI code assistants. I use them in my workflow, as I said earlier. I like them, but I'm skeptical. Um, so to beat the dead horse one more time, teachers, tutorial makers, please don't rely too much on AI. Teach your students exactly what they need to know, how to use AI to leverage what they know, but teach them the ethics as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in for another episode. Please like and subscribe and tune in for more.